Hey everybody, this is Bennett, and I am currently playing The Death and Return of Superman on the Super Nintendo. This is a pretty old game. It's always one of my favorites. As a kid, kind of growing up playing all those 2D fighting beat 'em up games on the Super Nintendo. I don't know if I ever told everybody about kind of like my history with the Super Nintendo. It was the very first console I ever really owned. My dad purchased for me back at gosh, I guess was it 95, or it was quite a few years after the Super Nintendo had come out. I was probably around 8 at the time. And the great thing about living so close to a rental video store was that basically I had my choice of a ton of great games to play, and this is one of them, The Death and Return of Superman. You get to play as Superman, and later on in the game, 4 other different characters who claim to be Superman. So it's great to play some of those old beat 'em up games. Been kind of busy, not really super busy, just kind of like hanging out with family. Got a chance to watch the Super Bowl yesterday, saw how that was. Pretty exciting game. But I have a couple of reasons I wanted to play this game with you guys today. One, because I think it's a great game that doesn't get a lot of attention. 2, because I did a list not too long ago of things that I liked about the movie Man of Steel, which not many people really liked or cared too much about, but I thought it was actually not that bad. I'll probably go over my reasoning sometimes, but the thing that's been kind of on my mind and something that I've been really thinking about and really like something that kind of almost even directly affects me is Nintendo. They recently introduced something called the Nintendo Creators Program on YouTube, which basically gives people a chance to upload copyrighted Nintendo games uploaded to a YouTube account. Basically share the ad revenue with Nintendo as part of a partners program, and it's gotten a lot of people up in arms about it. And I don't know if I know exactly all the full details. I've read through a lot of articles and posts and forum things about it, a couple of videos, especially one from Jim Sterling, who I'm a big fan of, and I'm currently a member in his Patreon, a subscriber. But he posted a video today about the whole Nintendo YouTube Creators Program and how disgusted he was by it. And I can definitely see where he's going for. He's basically saying that Nintendo is trying to be above YouTube, trying to basically tell people who create content using their properties on YouTube what they can't really do with their stuff. And part of me has heard a lot of arguments saying that it's completely within their right. Nintendo should be trying to protect their intellectual property. Just because you purchase something doesn't necessarily mean you can copy it, use it in a way that will make yourself money without necessarily changing any of the original work. Because if you do take the original work, convert it into something transformative, put a criticism towards it or whatever, then that's called fair use, and you're basically allowed to do that. The Nintendo Creators Program is for people who just are like me. They aren't part of a big multi-channel network that would have the deal in order to help you actually be able to produce and monetize the YouTube videos, and while at the same time getting a license from the companies to do so. This is for people like me who are just kind of like trying to make a couple of videos, putting it up on YouTube, and saying, well, maybe someday if I make money, then I like to do it in a hopefully legal fashion. And yeah, there's been a lot of controversy about the whole thing, especially with the idea that you're basically you're splitting the ad revenue with Nintendo, and the percentages, the ratio of it is a little bit tricky. 2, you have to drop in a certain amount of you have to give your video to Nintendo so that they can look over it over a 3-day period, just to make sure that it's okay to be uploaded on the internet. And that I find to be a little bit contentious, especially with the way Nintendo's been kind of running things lately with customer service and trying to be able to appeal to, I guess, their huge audience, especially here in North America. If you're one of the guys like me who's been spending too much time trying to catch the amiibos, you kind of know what I'm talking about. They haven't had the best track record for satisfying customers lately, sadly. So basically, I just wanted to say that I do kind of agree with Nintendo in being able to take a percentage of it, but there's been so many examples of companies who haven't necessarily wanted to do that, who have allowed YouTubers to basically show off their stuff, basically make money off of it, and kind kind of give some exposure and some public mind share to people who go on YouTube videos to watch people play video games, because that's what a lot of people seem to sometimes do instead of just actually go and play the video games themselves, right? Not many people have access. People might want to go to YouTube to look at reviews or to see first-hand impressions of how games are played, and that's fantastic. I do that all the time as well. I'm just not sure if I necessarily completely 100% believe that YouTube is the #1 authority, or people on YouTube are the #1 authority to actually kind of say what kind of game I want. I try to look at a multitude of sources. Keep myself not necessarily unbiased, but at the same time well-informed maybe, or at least willing to wait past the release date for a game, after a game comes out, to decide whether it's really something I want to get or not, or to look for a good deal, because you know, you have a certain amount of disposable income. You can't necessarily buy everything all at one time, right? So I probably won't last too long at this game anyways. I just wanted to put that out. Maybe I'll write out in longer form exactly how I feel about the Nintendo YouTube Creators Program. I am certainly happy and definitely be willing to someday work with Nintendo if this channel ever becomes more popular than the 10 or so views that it gets usually when I make a video game video. But definitely, I'm always really supportive of companies that I really enjoy and love, and Nintendo's probably one of my favorites. I have so much nostalgic love for this, and it makes me incredibly biased, but I definitely believe that the Nintendo Creators Program, as it's currently stated right now, is not something that people would necessarily want to do. In fact, I think it would actually disincentivize people to want to make YouTube videos, simply because it means that you have to share your profits, the money that you could be using as a lifestyle, to necessarily do stuff. Oh, there we go. And that's really unfortunate, because there are tons of great YouTubers out there, not just people who I've known, who I know kind of like on the internet because they're pretty famous or well known, but people who just want to make videos like me, just wants to try something, put up an old video. They don't necessarily want to do it to necessarily make money, and I suppose in Nintendo's case that's fine, but if someday people were to subscribe and the person has a chance to basically show something that makes it worth the money that they spent and time and effort they spent in actually creating the video, then I think they should be adequately compensated. It may not always be the best thing for Nintendo to necessarily support, but at the same time, you got to have that sort of freedom, and I think Nintendo could do a lot of things to actually support people like me and others who don't necessarily do just these regular Let's Play videos, but who can really kind of show what exactly a Nintendo game is, their own version or criticism of it, something that defines them within themselves regarding this game in general. Like, for example, I've already said my piece about Superman. I think this is probably one of my favorite beat-em-up games on the Super Nintendo, probably the first being Maximum Carnage, and there's been a ton of other great games as well that would work in this case. But yeah, exactly, just definitely, I say wait a little while, see what Nintendo does next. After all, they've probably heard at least a week by now of a lot of criticism, and a lot of grumbling, and a lot of moaning, and I think Nintendo, they may not seem like it, but they're definitely willing to adapt and to change around things to basically make it more satisfactory for consumers like me. And I hope that someday they'll be able to do that for amiibos too, because I'm still waiting to get a couple, and they're really hard to get nowadays. And just this latest wave is just a pain in the butt. I'll see how long I can last. Not much else I want to say. This is the first time I've actually really had a topic that I wanted to talk about instead of just kind of vlogging about my life. But yeah, my name is Bennett. I'll see how long I last, and probably not for long. And we'll see where things will go from here. Like I said, I'm just kind of surprised that people are talking about this so fast and so rapidly and with such fervor and debate and anger that I don't know. Kind of just want to get into it. I'm not necessarily doing it for clicks or anything. I don't think I'm able to monetize any video, especially considering the limited amount of views I'm making. But someday in the future, maybe somebody will read this, or not read this, but maybe watch it and go, hey, maybe he had some good points. Maybe. I doubt it though. This game is actually a lot harder than I thought. I wonder how far I got into it last time. Did I ever get a chance to even fight with Steel or Superboy? Oh well, whatever. Apparently they're gonna bring back old Superman in the DC Convergence miniseries, set during sometime during around the summer. I'm kind of excited to read that. Nah, not really, but then again, Superman hasn't been like my favorite comic for a while. I kind of liked it when Grant Morrison did Action Comics when the New 52 first started, and he was asked to write that first run. It's kind of like a prequel or like a Superman origin story type thing. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Huh, it's pretty powerful. Seriously? I avoided that. Whatever. Actually, my favorite beat 'em up is probably Dungeons and Dragons: Shadows over Mystara. I remember playing that a long time ago in the arcades, and it may not be like the Super Nintendo best beat 'em up, but it was definitely one of my favorites just overall. And yeah, like I said, it didn't last long. Like I said, my name is Bennett. I was talking about the Nintendo YouTube Creators Program, and hopefully I'll be able to continue on making some videos. Have a good night, guys.